So since the engine's done, we are shifting gears to the transmission. I guess there's your little dad joke there, I guess. I'm not going to go crazy cleaning this up. I kind of scraped the heavy stuff off and sprayed it down with some super clean, and then I'm just going to rinse it off. If I was going to completely rebuild this thing, I'd pressure wash it and, you know, go all crazy, but we are not tearing that deep into it, so I really don't want to get water in it. And so, you know, I've plugged up any holes, and, you know, we're just gonna gently rinse this thing. But, you know, it was grimy, so it needed something done to it. I wasn't going to do anything to it. I was just going to, because I had sprayed it off from underneath when I did the pan gasket, but yeah, this thing was grimy. It had to get done. It had so much dirt on it. So I just scraped the heavy stuff off, then blew it off out of the way, and then sprayed it down. And we'll call that good. However it ends up turning out after this, and, you know, any fine cleaning we'll hit with some brake cleaner. So kind of my next step while I'm letting this set, I'm gonna go get my transmission, I don't know what you call it, it's a stand, I guess, vise type deal. It bolts to my workbench, and there's an adapter that fits on the transmission. I don't know if it'll fit a C6. I have no idea. So I'm gonna have to go get it and see if it will. If it won't, well, I guess we're gonna throw this thing on the workbench and try to do it flat. But pulling the pump, I'd like to have it vertical, so we don't spill stuff out. You know, you put this thing vertical and you can kind of, well, you can pull the pump without everything else wanting to fall out of it. So let me get that. I'll see if it'll bolt onto it. And if not, I'll probably try to figure out a plan B to get this thing vertical. If I had a metal oil drum, a lot of times I've seen people do that, you know, just set it down in that oil drum, you know, one that the diameter is smaller than the bell housing. Or we could come up with some way to catch those two ears, you know, if we, you know, bolted or clamped two 2x4s on my workbench and try to come over and catch those ears with them or something. I'm just trying to think of some kind of little jig or something to get this thing vertical. I don't really want to, you don't want to stand it on the input shaft or the output shaft, because if you do that, as soon as you take the pump out, it's going to push stuff out. So you can't do that. You know, you're going to have to support it with the output shaft hanging. So I'll have to think about that, but I'll first see if my thing will fit. I don't really see the indentions where it mounts. Might fit those two, but man, that doesn't look right. What it does is it clamps. I'll show you on let me show you on another transmission. All right, here's a scrap TH350, and you can see it's got some really inset spots right here, right there, and right there. That's where that clamp, it's kind of like a big C-clamp, and it threads in from both sides. And it also has one that comes in to, you know, kind of just gently press against here, and so it clamps into these spots and presses there. My fear on that over there, let's go back over there. Like I said, this one's junk. It's got holes in the thing, but let me show you. See, we've got spots here. Let me just make sure that's not like a mud dauber. This thing was covered in mud daubers. No. So it just doesn't, I don't know if my clamp, I don't know if I trust it enough to clamp in that little indention enough. I might could modify it. Let me show you what it looks like. So this is our clamp. This one is already got a taper to it. So that one might fit in there okay. This one does not. So I could put a little taper, you know, just kind of tape my grinder and kind of put a little taper kind of like that, just so it fits in there better. And it also sits up higher on the case. And so I don't know if this is long enough. I'm trying to look if there's anywhere else I could clamp on this thing. And I don't really see a spot. I just don't know if I trust it enough clamping right here. I'd prefer it to be further down, and I don't know, you know, if this thing is a heavy transmission, if this clamp gave any, it would pop it out of these. And if this thing comes crashing to the ground, I mean, it's gonna break the case. So I might do some Googling and see about finding a C6 mount. Maybe there's some kind of an adapter that, you know, bolts to something, and I can kind of use some of this, or I don't know. I'm gonna see what I can find, and then like I said, worst case, you know, those ears, we could do something with that. I'll probably need to measure the workbench and make sure that if we go that route, the workbench is high enough that that would not fit, or that would, but we could basically just take two 2x4s, kind of make a jig, you know, with the right spacing, and then, you know, bolt two 2x4s on top or on bottom to get our, you know, this spacing, basically kind of make like a H or a square with legs. Does that make sense? I don't know, not legs, but ends sticking out, but that it's the two 2x4s that are going into this also have two that go like that to keep them from spreading, and then that whole assembly could get bolted or clamped to my workbench. That might be the route we go. That would also be a little easier to attach. The only issue with that being, on this we can rotate. So on that, I think what we would have to do, because we got to pull the pan, and then after we pull the pan, pull the valve body and all that kind of stuff, then we can pull the pump. So I think we would probably lay it on its side on the workbench, pull the valve body, or pull the pan and valve body, then set it up in this little jig vertical and pull the pump, replace the pump seals, put the pump back in, then put it back on its side and, you know, put the valve body back together. All right, this thing's a little on the heavy side, but picked it up and put it on here. It's actually not as bad as I thought it was. So the yeah, we're torn into it. So I did I don't know how long my trip was. This thing's probably got 2,500 miles on it maybe, since I did the filter and pan gasket. And you can see there's a little bit of sparkly right there, but that's it. That's the only thing in the pan. And kind of look here and see, I don't see anything. So I think we're going to proceed with, you know, I don't see clutch material in there. You know, to be honest, you know, that little bit that was there after this thing sat for as long as it did, I think that's fine. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Unless I, you know, end up seeing something, I'll, you know, kind of do a visual inspection. But I mean, this thing looks really good inside. So I think we're just gonna, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So that's what we're gonna go by, I think. So I need to go get my shift kit and tear into this. My understanding, I've never torn into a C6. I think I've been in a C4 when I was like young, but never been in a C6. I think I helped my grandpa in a C4. I don't think it was a C6, but I really don't remember anything. That would have been 30 years ago. So I'm gonna go get my shift kit and tear into this. My understanding is that to pull the pump, you do need to pull the valve body. I think I've got a book and I left it at the house, but we're not going to get that far into it today. I may go ahead and try my best to maybe prop, maybe put a block under the tail housing and then really block up this, I don't know, and try to leave it on its side. I don't know. I rebuilt the 350C that's in the C10 all on its side, assembled it on its side. It's not ideal. It's definitely much easier standing on end. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there yet, but we're not going to go too crazy with this. Pump seals. If it's like a GM transmission, there's going to be a gasket behind the pump and then an O-ring on the pump itself. And so if it's like that, we're going to replace both of those, and then of course a new seal. Look how nice this thing looks. I mean, this thing, it's under 100,000 miles, so everything looks great. I need to investigate and see what that is. There's some transmission fluid in there, which, I mean, if this is leaking, it probably just ran down in there because this is the bottom. So I'm thinking that's probably what happened there, but it does look like there's a little plug in there. So we just need to double check that and make sure our source of leaking isn't that plug. But yeah, I think it's been so long since I ordered parts for this thing. I think I got all the seals I need for the pump. And then I think I ordered the shift/kickdown linkage seals. So we'll do that. And just try to, basically seal this thing up and try to make sure we don't have any leaks. But tear down as little as possible. But pretty happy with that. I mean, just a little bit in there. It's probably from some bushing, if I had to guess. But that's, like I said, as long as this thing sat, I think that's fine. Or it could even come from the converter, torque converter. All right, get busy. Okay, so pull the valve body off and look. So I think what this is the front pump washer. I was trying to look at a component diagram, and I think it goes right in here before this drum, is my thought. And so that's gonna have to be replaced. Man, I'm struggling here, because there's a couple of these plastic washers throughout the trans. Man, makes me worry about it. That's probably where our material came from. It's probably rubbing on there. So it's a good thing we tore into it. So we definitely have to replace that. The question is, do we assume the rest of it is okay? Or do we go deeper into this? I don't know. Let me know what y'all would do. I don't know why my light, what is going on with my thing's just sitting here with the light on. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. So yeah, this kind of sucks. Hey, but we can get our pump out. Just go in there and pop it out. I don't know. I got to think about this. I mean, I have a feeling everything in here is going to be in good shape. I just kind of worry about plastic. So I might see what a rebuild kit, because, you know, I could buy this stuff individually, but I may just see if a rebuild kit comes with these. And if it does, I think a rebuild kit for this thing is under $100. I may just go ahead and order a rebuild kit that would, if I missed any seals, I did order seals and stuff. I think I ordered everything I need, but I may have missed something. So that should give us seals and everything as well. And maybe we just see how this goes, you know, start tearing into it and just see how things look. This band looks really good. So, I mean, everything looks so good in here, but yeah, I mean, plastic is, it gets brittle with age. And, you know, this could even happen when we first started it up. You know, maybe all this stuff was dry and it just caught this thing and peeled it out because it had no lubrication, you know, something like that. And it's been out this whole time. It's been operating just fine, but it would have worn into that drum, I'm sure, over time. And of course, our tolerances are not going to be correct, you know, with in play. You know, we're that much off right now. So let me do some research and some thinking, and I'll let y'all know what I decide to do here. But we definitely need to, I mean, we're going to be in it this far anyway because we're pulling the pump. So we could easily just drop this in and drop a replacement in. Question is, you know, there's more of these in the trans. Are they compromised as well? And should we just wing it, or maybe replace any other plastic bushings or washers? I think it's just called a washer. Replace any more of these? I don't know. I'll decide. I would have cleaned this thing up more if I would have known I would have been tearing all the way into it. But I just was focused on this area. But if we're going to take the tail housing off, and the upper side's pretty good, but that's kind of gross, and we're going to need to do that or clean it before we tear into it. Okay, rebuild kit does not come with these. I need to check the thickness because they have these in different thicknesses. This thing was still kind of wedged in there, so I almost bet it was still in there, you know, a piece of it doing its spacing. Of course, you know, it would, I think it was still in there partially. There's a piece of it missing. I gotta find that. It wasn't in the pan. I don't see it sitting on the valve body. So it may still be maybe stuck to the drum or something, but I'm kind of thinking that, you know, this thing was not brittle. I mean, even if it was brittle, I don't think it would have broke. I think it did stick. Maybe, you know, part of it stuck to the pump, part of it stuck to the drum, you know, just from sitting as long as this thing did. And when it started up, it turned, and broke it and peeled part of it out. I have a feeling that's what happened. I really don't see any other reason for it to break. I just don't think you would ever, I mean, this thing would have to be like glass, and it's still got some flex and stuff to it. So I just don't think it would be brittle enough to break. It had to have gotten seized, part of it, just say part of it was over here, seized to the drum, and the other part was seized to the, or part seized to the drum, seized to the pump. And as soon as that drum turned, you know, it broke it. So I think we're just gonna do the best that we can to look at everything else, but this thing was shifting perfectly. I just don't want to mess with it. I might look to see where these other plastic washers are and just try to maybe if we get this thing standing straight up, we could pull a few components out and look a little deeper. But yeah, I think that's the route we're gonna go. A full rebuild kit, you know, with clutches and steels and did it come with steels? It was at least clutches and gaskets and everything, was about $170. So a little more than I was thinking. Like I said, I've never been in a C6, so probably need to look and see if there's some special tools needed for some of this stuff if we go that route, and go ahead and just maybe find a YouTube video and watch somebody go through one of them. I just don't know how much is different than a GM trans. You know, I've got GM trans experience, just not Ford. So I would assume it's probably pretty similar. So I'll make a decision, but like I said, this piece does not come with a rebuild kit. So I'm going to find one. I need to measure. They come in different thicknesses, so I need to measure this one, get one on its way, and then I'll make a decision as far as the rest of it, what to do. But like I said, it was operating perfectly. So yeah, I'm hesitant to potentially mess something up by my inexperience on these, if it's working. All right, get one of these things ordered. So here's the book I was talking about that I had at my house. I think this is, let's see, is it number 5? Yeah, number 1 thrust washer selective. We actually have a number 2, which is 74 thousandths. I think this one is 57 thousandths. These are different sizes to take up your in play in the transmission. So looking through here, if we look at thrust washers, we got a number 4, a number 3, 9 and 10 are thrust washers. These are in this drum, it looks like, or between drums. Not sure how all that comes apart, but kind of feel like any of this stuff. So this one obviously is, you know, it kicked that stuff out onto the valve body. Now, this and this, we can see, let's see, where do we get where we can't see? I think this is blocking our view. Yeah, we can see up to that for sure. This is where, what is that, a big snap ring? Yeah, I think this is where this is blocking our view to see in here. But I think if these were bad, if anything was bad in here, we would have found it in the pan or on top of the valve body. So I think we can make the assumption that we're good here. So from here on is where we need to I guess, worry ourselves. We may be able to see this. I can't remember. What is 26? Maybe that's the one we can't see. That might be what's blocking our view. I have to go look at it again. If we can see up to that point, what is 22? Another thrust washer. That doesn't look plastic. See, some of these may not be plastic. And this one does have a tab. I don't know if it fits in the pump or fits in the drum. I guess it would fit in the pump, because the pump, well, I don't know. It fits in one of the two. So that piece we're missing, I think, is the piece that fits into it. And so that furthers my belief that it's stuck. And when it's from sitting, it's stuck from sitting, and then it turned. Which, if that piece is still in there, what it would do is it would still keep that spacing on one little spot, but it could kink it over, you know, which could cause the bushing wear, which might be what that brass we saw in the pan. So I think my thoughts are here, you know, we don't see any other pieces of anything in the trans. I may go in through the speedometer gear, see if we can see what we see in the output, make sure everything looks good, which I don't think we're gonna see much. I don't think there's much after. And we may try to get our inspection camera in the tail housing, and then just all up in places and just look for any debris. But I think we're gonna be limited to this. I've already found a replacement and ordered it, and with shipping and everything, it was like $6. The thing itself was $2.99 plus, you know, $4 or so of shipping. So we'll have that in a few days. Again, I haven't even looked to see if my shop manuals, I've got a full set of shop manuals, you know, factory forged shop manuals. They probably have a good detailed view. But what this is actually my grandfather's. That's not my grandfather though, but he may have gotten it in a garage sale or something. But this was actually published in 1975. So, but it's good stuff, you know. It's got a lot of good details. So, yeah, we will, if we were gonna rebuild it, we would be utilizing this, but I think we're gonna probably call it good and just replace the one thrust washer. So this is where we're gonna stop this one for today. Thought this page was kind of cool. So if you want to, you can pause it, take a look at it. Kind of a exploded view of the C6 transmission, all of its different components. So I brought the valve body back here to the house with me, and next video I'll put the shift kit in, do the modifications to the valve body for the shift kit, probably just set up some time lapse and just run through that. I'm just following the instructions, so nothing really, you know, out of the ordinary there. But if y'all want to watch it, you can. That'll be the next video on this. And then after that, you know, we'll just need to put the valve body back in, replace that thrust washer, which I have ordered, and, you know, of course, new seals and all that, and slap it all back together and be ready to go back in the car. So I guess probably 2 videos left on the C6, and then we're getting close to getting all this back in the car. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and subscribe for more.